missions is a laboratory where we can develop a Christ-like character. I don't believe that we can stay home and be like Christ. We've experienced the joy in partnering with Christ, bringing light to a dark place, and we believe that God has given the gift of missions to His church, for His church.
On every hand the foe we find drawn up in dread array. Let tents of ease be left behind, and onward to the fray. Salvation's helmet on each head, your truth all girt about. The earth shall tremble 'neath our tread, and echo with our shout. Faith is the victory. Faith is the victory. Oh, glorious victory that overcomes the world. To Him that overcomes the foe, white raiment shall be given. Before the angels He shall know His name confessed in heaven. Then onward from the hills of light, our hearts with love aflame, will vanquish all the hosts of night. In Jesus' conquering name, faith is the victory. Faith is the victory. Oh, glorious victory that overcomes the world. You may be seated. Why is it we've sung this 1,000 times, and every once in a while when it gets that faith thing, I get this funny choke up thing in my throat.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, need more water, I think.
Yeah. Did you have some announcements?
No, not this meeting.
Okay. We would like to introduce our next speakers. It's all six of them. Yes, they're a family of 6. 2 of them are adults, and the other 2 are wannabe, or almost
the other
there.
4 are
Other
almost
4, yeah.
Getting closer, anyway.
Well, there's one daughter that's turning 18, and then 3 are turning 16, right?
They did.
They already are. You did.
They turned it.
You weren't 16 last year. Okay, well, congratulations. All right, so this is a family that went with us. We met them you've come to a couple of faith camps before.
Yeah, a couple of faith camps.
Oh, and last year they went with us, or this year. That's still this year. No, last year.
It was last year. It was November.
November went with us and Shoe Chucks
and a number of other people.
Yes, to a little place called Pangandaran, and then they stayed on, and we're going to hear the rest of that story from them. I won't tell it for you.
Thank you. Do you want to pray for them, or shall I?
You can if you'd like.
Okay. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you so much for the opportunity to hear the story of what you've been doing in the lives of the Rollins family. It's amazing and humbling when you give us opportunities to see your work and participate in your work in various places. And so I just want to thank you for them, for their willingness to do crazy and hard things for you, but for their willingness, that heart of love that came from you. So please bless them and pour your Spirit upon them as they speak now. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Good afternoon. We are the Rollins family, and I'm Roger. And last year at Faith Camp, I was lying in my tent out here, trying to go to sleep, thinking about going on mission and trying to figure out all the details. If any of you have tried to think about going, there's a lot of little details, big details. And so I was thinking about that. like I do every time at Faith Camp, and then sometimes I kind of forget for a while. And I got this strong impression that I feel was from God, and the impression was, just go. So that's what I decided. We're going. I don't know the details. I don't know how long or when or where. Well, we were planning to go to Indonesia. But before we tell you about that, a little history about us.
I just want to put a side note in there. If any of you know Roger, that is not like him. He has to research everything before he's willing to buy it, before he's willing to do anything. So he wanted to know the details.
So you want to do this one? Oh, no, this one's for me. So back in 2001, I began going on mission trips. Maranatha, we were building things, schools and churches. And some of the other ones, we did evangelism in India. And then in the fall of 2004, I met this, actually married this person here. We got married, and a couple months later, we headed off to India for 2 months of mission work over there. We had agreed that we wanted to take our kids with us on future mission trips with the goal of inspiring them with a passion for mission. So I'll let you go here.
We continued going on trips, and then in 2007, we had, Rayanne was 5 months old at the time that we were planning that mission trip, and we ended up going to Ecuador, and we took her along with us because we felt like it was very important to not stop. We were going there to build a school, so she fit right in without a problem. It was pretty easy to take a nursing baby. It was pretty simple. We also got, I guess, probably the most luxurious accommodations because we had a baby. We happened to have a fan in our room, so it was very nice. About a year later, we were planning to go on another mission trip. This time we were planning to go to Mozambique. And we were just preparing, buying all the things we needed. And here's Rayanne. She's ready to go. She's completely ready. She's got her little backpack with a leash on it and her sunglasses. She's like, I'm ready to go. But I was not ready to go. We found out right before we were planning to go on the trip that we were actually having triplets. Not just one, which we thought at the beginning. So
One's no problem.
that changed our plans. We had to end up canceling that trip right at the last minute because we just realized I couldn't do the traveling and sitting as long as they needed me to sit in the airplane and everything. So this is what our life became. 4 little ones we are taking care of, little tiny ones. This is the day we took them home from the hospital. And then we got into what all is involved with taking care of kids. Our whole life just got wrapped up in taking care of little ones and raising them in the way we felt like God wanted us to raise them, starting homeschooling, doing country living, all of the good things that we do. We tried again in 2016. The kids were 7 and 9, and we wanted to do missions again. We were like, maybe we can handle it now. So we tried again. We had a friend who had some property in Costa Rica, and we went to Costa Rica to enjoy a little bit of time there and actually see what we could do in missions. Well, we happened to choose a place that had no electricity, and this is how we had to do our laundry. You saw that earlier today, somebody stomping on their laundry. Well, I had my kids doing that too. Otherwise, I was too overwhelmed. I just could not wash all the clothes. And we had a very nice time there, but we also realized that it was overwhelming to try to do missions and take care of 4 kids, especially in that kind of a situation where we had, they had to cook on a little 1-burner propane stove, had no refrigeration, those kind of things. And so it was just a little difficult. But we tried to maintain homeschooling and all of the things while we were there. But it was a very good experience for us, and they got a taste of what missions might be like. Why were we feeling like missions were so important? Well, this is one of the quotes I just wanted to share. The same devotion, the same self-sacrifice, the same subjection to the claims of the Word of God that were manifest in Christ must be seen in His servants. Our mission to the world is not to serve or please ourselves. We are to glorify God by cooperating with Him to save sinners. We are to ask blessings from God that we may communicate to others, the capacity for receiving is preserved only by imparting. We cannot continue to receive heavenly treasure without communicating to those around us. This is from Christ Object Lessons. And it was important to me, especially as we had gotten back into homeschooling and all this stuff, and we kept coming up with excuses of why we can't go. We have the house to finish up. We have, I don't know.
Mother to take care of.
Oh, yeah, mother-in-law we had to take care of. There was just always something there. We're like, no, we can't go this year. Maybe next year. We can't go this year. Maybe next year.
So, no.
Okay, so then we did try to go into, to get more involved in missions. We had a friend invite us to Faith Camp. It was years ago. And we started going only on Sabbath. That was back when they were in
Spangle.
They were in Spangle, yeah, at the academy. So we would go on Sabbath, and we would be inspired every time we went. But we never took the commitment to, like, we're going to go the full time. But then COVID came along, and it inspired us. We couldn't go to any camp meetings or anything else, and this was the only thing going on. So we're like, okay, let's just go the whole time. And ever since then, we've been here every year. It's been amazing, and it's been inspiring for us. And like Roger was telling you, that was last year. We were just like, every year we're trying to figure out how we're going to make it work. How are we going to make it work? And last year, God just said, just go. Stop trying to stress about it all the time.
So, so we just went. And so we arrived in Thailand on November 1st, and we ended up returning home on March 11th. We joined up with Jesus for Asia in their prayer walks in Indonesia and Japan. And then we also did the in-disciple training in Thailand. And then we also joined up in with evangelism in India, which there's all these have interesting stories, which hopefully we'll have time for. And then the rest of it, we went and basically, I guess you'd call it like a vision, or our own vision trip, right? And so we visited a number of other JFA missionaries there in Cambodia and Thailand, Indonesia. And so, but a little over half of the time, since I actually have to work for a living, like most people do, I do have the blessing of being able to work remotely. I currently work remotely. Internationally remotely, they allow me currently to do a little bit of time remotely in other countries. So part of the time we were doing mission stuff, and part of the time I was working, they were doing schoolwork, and we were just being normal. Yeah, we're normal.
That actually was one of the things that once we had decided to just go, that was really a miracle for us, because his job had a policy that you could only, I think, be 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
In a foreign country working remotely. And as we decided to go, they changed their policy to 8 weeks. And so we were able to make it work in the 4-month time span that we were there, that he could get 8 weeks abroad, because of it was from 1 year to another, too. Yeah, we were in like 2 different years, so we were able. And then we took some vacation time while we were there. So that we were able to get it all worked out. And so God really blessed.
God worked it out. We didn't work it out. God worked it out.
God blessed us in that.
All right.
Okay, so when we arrived in Thailand, we were blessed to have a family there, which Mike and Marilee talked a little bit yesterday, and they showed pictures of us. But they welcomed us in with open arms. It was a different world for us. Rice paddies and we're used to the forests of here. So it's very different and very hot. Different food, everything. So they welcomed us in. We got to taste some interesting things. This is a custard apple. We discovered we really like it a lot. And dragon fruit, which we've seen before, but we never really ate it. So that was something that we all enjoyed. They were very good at giving us all kinds of interesting things to try that first week we were there at their house, and we enjoyed it. Yep. It was very special for us. And they took us to their church like they were talking about, and we had a wonderful time there with the local people. And then we even got a chance to go see the elephants nearby, because they're in Ayutthaya area, which they said was like the original capital of Siam. So they have a reenactment, a battle reenactment that they do there. We weren't there during the right time for that, but they had the elephants. And we went to go see them, and they were just happened to be practicing that day for this battle reenactment. So we got to see them, and God even blessed us with a rainbow, a promise of reminding us how much he loved us. So it was just really special for us. After we were there for a week, they drove us all the way up to Sukhothai, yes, that's right. We're to the children's home there where the Nortons are. And this is just a picture across the water. We got there right at the end of the water rainy time, and there was water everywhere. It was amazing. But it was a new experience for us. There's a couple of their little children and the kittens that they had. We had been at the Kyers, they nicely had a air conditioner for us to kind of acclimate. Well, here, no such thing. We had fans, though, so that was helpful. But it was really helping us get into the climate there. So the children loved it. My children were able to hang out with their children and ride in the back of a pickup. Oh, you don't do those things in the States, you know.
So there.
This is their worship room, and this is some of the children they were hanging out and spending time with there. And this is where they ate. They've now since enclosed this cafeteria. They've done a lot of work there, and they've done a really good job with lots of things. Ron was helping. This is actually Joe, too, who just talked. They were there working on a wall. They enjoyed, Ron really enjoyed that. He's the kind of guy who just likes to get in there and figure out how it works and build things and stuff. So this was really special for him. And just the girls, they just really bonded with the younger kids. And I just had to put this in there because it was so beautiful. It's like God really blessed them and giving them this wonderful, beautiful place to live. From there, we went and took an overnight train. The Shuchaks were with us, actually. And we were headed to Indonesia on that prayer walking trip that we had planned to go on. So this is the overnight train, just a quick picture of that. It was kind of weird to squeeze in a little bunk and rock back and forth in the middle of the night as you were trying to sleep.
Kind of reminded you of India.
And then when Indonesia.
So Indonesia, we left Bangkok and went to Jakarta. And Indonesia is predominantly a Muslim country, which the Shuchaks have pointed out. And it's the world's largest Muslim country, and there are mosques all over the place. Every corner and in between. So there's Indonesia is made up of a bunch of islands, and here circled is the island of Java, where she will tell you about her impression and experience in and which one are you?
I liked Indonesia because the people were so friendly. First, we went to the island of Java. This is a picture of the traffic in Jakarta. These are a couple of the pictures from the city of Bandung, from the apartment on the 19th floor where we stayed. And this is some of the food we ate at a restaurant. Indonesia was the first place I got to try tempeh. From Bandung, we traveled by bus to Pangandaran.
Yeah, that was the hotel. That was the hotel we stayed at.
This is what some of the traffic looks like.
No, not in Pangandaran, but on the way there.
There we were focusing on praying for God's will in that area. Before we went prayer walking, we spent several hours in prayer. Once while we were out prayer walking, we met this group of ladies who were having a get-together. They asked if they could take a picture with us girls. When they saw Ryan, they were super excited and wanted a picture with him also. On the way back to the hotel, there was also a couple of young people who wanted to practice the English with us. We talked to them for a few minutes before continuing on our way. One of the days we were in Pangandaran, we went swimming.
Hold on a second. That was where Google Translate came in a little bit handy, just because the young man was trying to learn English, but he didn't know it that well. So he was like looking everything up, and we're looking everything up, but it was really cool. It was a good experience.
So this is when we went swimming. And this is the sunset we got to see that evening. And we saw lots of fishermen and lots of boats. There's a boat hotel you can see. This looks really cool. One morning it was raining. We put on our rain jackets and went out. After walking for a while, a family under a tarp invited us to come take shelter from the rain. We spent a few minutes there and then left.
We couldn't communicate with them because they didn't speak any English and we didn't speak any Bahasa. But they were very friendly.
One of the times we were on our way back from prayer walking on the weekend, we met a group of young people who were traveling by bus back to Bandung. When they saw us, they were super excited and wanted a picture with us. From there, we visited the Tincanos, and we got to hold their pet snakes. This is some of the scenery we got to see.
And this is Roshana, by the way. So once we left Pangandaran, we went back to Bogor, where we also we stayed with the Tincanos for a few days, about a week, I think, and they took very good care of us, fed us very well, and as you can see, it's like, whoa, good food. Well, that's the next one, but but we went out on prayer walking. We went prayer walking. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at the wrong picture up here. But we went prayer walking in Bogor, and just went around walking and praying. And then before we go out prayer walking, we'd spend time praying, claiming Bible promises, and preparing for the prayer walk and doing worship there as well.
That experience was really good, I think, for us to be there. It was just encouraging, I think, for the Tincanos also for us to be there and be able to pray with them, because they don't get that kind of fellowship very often. So it was really special for all of us.
So you're one of the triplets, right? And how old are you? How old?
I'm 16.
And what was your which one? What's your name?
Raziella.
Okay.
My favorite place to go was Japan. I really enjoyed running in the early morning in the cool air.
Oh, you went the wrong direction. There you go.
So that's us sitting in the airport on the way to Japan, pretending to be asleep for Mommy's picture. And then that's us on the airplane. We decided to put 4 of us in 3 seats because we were bored. So I really liked riding the train from place to place. And so that's a picture of an empty train. That's a fuller train. And then there's us in the train if you can find us. And this is ramen. Ramen's a dish with noodles and veggies in a broth. It was really good. And that was the first time that I got to eat with chopsticks, and it was very fun. And so we went prayer walking, and before we went out prayer walking, we would pray together as a group. And then on our prayer walk, we saw this guy here with a very tall hat.
Do you see that hat there? It goes all the way up.
That bright yellow thing.
That's actually a hat on somebody's head.
Walking through Tokyo and praying helped me to really see the need that Japan has. So this is a picture of Tokyo. Most people in Japan practice Shintoism and Buddhism. In Shintoism, they believe in 8 million gods. They believe in a God for every part of nature. There are about 130 million people in Japan. Less than 1% of them are Christian. While it may appear that the people are well off and have all they want, you can see in many of their faces hopelessness. They need to know of a God who loves them and can give them true joy and peace. This is a video of the people on the sidewalk. We also helped with a mini faith camp there. It was the first faith camp JFA has done in Japan. This picture is of Hannah and my sisters and I leading song service. This is us kids sitting in faith camp. On Sabbath afternoon, we had a training session on prayer walking, and the people divided into groups and went out on a short prayer walk. After the prayer walk, they all came back and were very excited about what God was doing and planned to do it again in the future. That's a picture from prayer walking, and so is that one. So we got to take the bullet train to Hiroshima, and it was really cool going almost 200 miles an hour on the ground. This is us waiting to get on the train. this is what it looked like inside. It was very luxurious. We had lots and lots of leg room.
Compared to a bus.
Yes.
And then when we were on the train, we got to see Mount Fuji. It was really pretty. And this is the city of Hiroshima. We did a prayer walk in Hiroshima. Near Ground Zero in Hiroshima, the people are seeking world peace because of the trauma they experienced in the past. They don't know that they can only find true peace when they accept Jesus as their Savior.
Thank you.
Okay, so from there, we headed with some of the team back to Indonesia, to Bali. We're a much smaller team now, leaving Japan. And Roger's going to tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah. So this is, Bali is an anomaly in Indonesia because it's very Hindu. All the rest of, a big chunk of the rest of Indonesia is Muslim. You get far into the east and there becomes much more of a Christian influence. But in Bali, it's very Hindu. So we were in Ubud, and this is the hotel we stayed at, and all over this town are all these Hindu images and Hindu structures. And so being a tourist destination, because it's a very big tourist destination, they had some really good food. So we enjoyed some good food there in Bali. But you know, we weren't there to just enjoy the food or the scenery. We went prayer walking. And so that's what we're doing here. We went out prayer walking and praying while we walked. And hopefully, I think tomorrow, we get to practice that here, don't we? Yeah. Here's a couple more pictures of just Bali and a temple and a local and a rice paddy.
This here, we noticed the difference from Thailand, because in Thailand they have machinery and everything out there, and that's their rice paddies. But we walked here, and it's like everything's done by hand, and this is their equipment. That's what they've got. And they have little tiny rice paddies, though. They don't have the big ones like they have in Thailand either.
At least the Central Valley.
At least this is the area there that we were there in Bali.
So after Ubud, the JFA team headed home, and we headed to the north side of the island of Bali. I was needing to do some work, and the kids were needing to do a little bit of schoolwork, so we headed to the north side of Bali.
This is the first time that we were like completely out there without anybody helping us out. That was kind of interesting for us. I mean, I think you and I kind of sort of been doing that before in prior mission trips, but not with 4 kids.
Not with 4 kids.
So this was a little bit different. The logistics of trying to figure out how to get taxis and get to the places you want to go when you have so many people and so much luggage. It was just it was interesting. But God really blessed, and we started learning the system a little bit. And we got all the way up north near the coast. And
We're on the coast.
Yeah. And when we got there, we're like, okay, so let's figure out where we can find groceries now. Let's figure out where we can find a church, if there is a church. And we did. We found a church.
So we found a church on Sabbath. We went and attended this local church. And I wasn't aware that we had very many Adventists, but one of the people there, he was a very committed Adventist. He had a prison ministry, and we were there at around Christmas time. And so Christmas Eve, 3 members of the family ended up in prison because they went to feed the people. So he does that on a regular basis. He's a really committed person to trying to just help people there in Bali with learning about Christ. And once we met him, it's like, wow, we've got someone here he would take us around in his car, and anything extra that he gets above gas, he donates to the prison ministry. So so I wish we'd met him earlier, but if we ever get back to Bali, we'll definitely hook up with him because we know that anything extra that he uses for the Lord's work is not just going to whatever. So
And he also spoke very good English, so when
Very
we showed
good.
up at church, even though it was in Bahasa, he sat there and translated for us, and it was really good, because then we were able. And of course, everywhere you go, they want to put you up front, everywhere.
So we're
Whether
singing.
you have talent or not, so don't worry. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not actually too unhappy with you if you go up there and croak. Even I
Yeah.
mean, they're happy to have you up
They don't
there.
understand English, so they don't know what you're saying. And I actually think this is Faith is a Victory. Is this what we sing?
I think we sang
Yeah.
"Faith is the
So-
Victory."
so in
and
this
I'm
one
not
here-
sure that we did it that well, but you know what? We sang it for
Yeah,
you.
we sang it, I think, a cappella, and we sang Faith is a Victory. But we'd had some practice, so practice here is good. Don't.
This area was Singaraja is what it was called, and it means the Lion King. So this is one of the statues that they actually have there. That's their version of the Lion King. And Nevins was the guy who we met there, and he took us to a waterfall there in the area, and we was able to really enjoy that. He took us for a day. He took us to visit his home and see some waterfalls and other things.
Met his family.
Yeah. So from there, we were trying to figure out when to leave and what God wanted us to do next, because we were trying not to have this trip planned out. We wanted to just follow like where God was leading as we went along. So we were trying to figure out what's next for us. This is the area we were at, the coast up on the northern end. It's a really pretty area. So we started communicating with where the hotel we were staying. They had a nice little apartment, and the owner of the hotel was like saying to us, well, I think you have to be out because I think I have family coming, and so we were trying to get it all coordinated. And so we got it figured out that we had to leave on a Thursday. So we're like, okay, we're leaving Thursday. But we hadn't quite gotten the dolphin trip in yet. We wanted to at least try to do something touristy, so we said, we'll schedule it. It's an early morning thing, 6 a.m. in the morning, you know. So we're like, we'll do that, and then we'll come back and quickly change our clothes and grab all our stuff and go to the airport. So that was our plan. Didn't quite always work out the way we planned things, but we did get to go out and enjoy the dolphins. We didn't realize that when we asked them if we could have the kids go out and like swim, they actually hang on to a boom, and the dolphins are sometimes around you if you're lucky enough to actually, or blessed enough, I guess is a better way to put that, to get that. That tour was a much longer tour than what we had thought it was. We thought it was only going to be
2 hours.
2 hours? It ended up being like 3.
It was supposed to be 4, and we actually
Or
told them
4?
we need to get back a little bit early because there's a
Yeah.
plane that we didn't want to miss.
So finally we're just like, okay, we can't push this out. We have to go back. We have to go back. So we headed back to the hotel and rushed as fast as we could because we had already had our drivers. We had 2 drivers lined up, and they had told us, we really need to leave earlier than you're saying, because even though the time to get to the airport is, you know, like I think it was 3 hours or something.
3 or 4 hours.
Because of traffic, it's going to be a lot more. And it was holiday time. New Year's was coming up. So we weren't aware of all of the dynamics involved, but they were, and they were trying to push us to hurry it up. So we did. We hurried and rushed, and we got in there, and we got it. We started driving, and we're thinking, we're doing okay. We're doing good. We're driving through the mountains, and it's very slow going, and because the roads are not like these roads. And when you drive through the mountains, you drive very slowly, and if you get stuck behind a truck, you're stuck behind a truck the whole way. So there's not much. They try to get around, I guess, even
Where
on
they can.
On the corners you can't see, but
Just close your eyes, and they'll get around.
yeah. So we got closer and closer, and we're thinking we're doing okay, even though we left later than we anticipated. We're doing okay. But then as soon as we get down into Denpasar, the city there's where the airport is. There's just like very few roads that just funnel like into the airport. There's not many options for people to actually go to get to the airport. There's like the main highway goes across the bridge, and there might be another side road, but there's nothing much more than that. So we're in 2 different cars and not having much communication because I think we only had internet on one phone.
Only on one phone.
So it was, but we're getting stressed, I think. Both of us were getting stressed.
Yeah, God was just preparing us for future flights.
Yes. But we, I was just like, okay, we're going to make this, I think. Well, it's like almost time for the checkout to be done. I don't know, are we going to make this? And I kept praying about it and trying not to stress. But we finally pulled up, and they were there. I think you guys beat us there.
We beat you there by 5 minutes.
Okay. So then we went running inside, and we're like, okay, we just made it. They let us check in, and we were able to go through.
5 minutes before check-in
And
closed.
we just made it. So we're like, praise the Lord. And I'm like, okay, what can I learn from this? I don't want to be stressed about all the things. So I was really like telling myself, okay, I got to stop stressing. I got to just depend on God. So from there, we went to Yogyakarta. We actually had talked with the Tunkanos a little bit. They had a house there that we were able to stay at. It's back on the island of Java. No? Is it me?
Yeah,
Okay. So there, we just were there briefly. We were there over the weekend, and it was New Year's. And we got there, and we got settled in the house, and we were looking at the little clips from the news, and we looked back, and we were like, look, there's this article about people that were flying out on Friday, which was the day we thought initially we were going to fly out, but we had gotten pushed to Thursday. They're missing. All the people are missing their flights because it was the day before New Year's Eve, I think. And the traffic was at a dead standstill. And the news was saying that people were getting out of the cars and dragging their luggage and running to the airport. Yeah. And I'm just like,
They had pictures of people doing that.
We were not in that.
And I was looking at that and said, yesterday we were just sitting on that bridge. Yeah. We were actually moving over the bridge, and there's people out of their cars running towards the airport a couple miles away.
Yeah.
With their luggage behind them.
Yeah. We found a church there too in that area, and actually one of the things that happened to me there, we were trying to get some shopping done the day before Sabbath, I think, and we got a taxi driver. Roger was working, and I had a couple of my kids with me, I'm not sure. But we found a taxi driver, and he was trying to sell me on going to all the tourist destinations. So he was telling me about this place and that place and all these things that he could take me to the next day. And I was like, no, we're not going to go. We're not going to go. And then he was just like, well, why not? What are you going to do? I'm like, don't you want to do some of these touristy things? And I'm like, no, I was just trying to just not talk about it. But he wouldn't let me, so he kept pushing me. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to go to church tomorrow. We're not going on some touristy thing. And he stopped, and he's like, this is the first time I've ever heard a tourist tell me they'd rather go to church than on some touristy destination. He just thought we were crazy. And then he told us he was a Catholic, so he kind of actually understood a little bit, but he still thought it was just like, wow, this is shocking for me. So God can use you in the little things you do to reach out to people. Who knows what that did for this man. At church, though, we got to the people that were very kind, and it was a big weekend because there was lots of people there for a holiday that were visiting. But, of course, it was Bahasa again, and they were like, oh, no, we have to have somebody translate. So they found a couple young ladies, which is here in the picture.
The two with their fingers up.
Yeah, the two with the fingers up. They were willing to translate, and since there's so many of us, like they had one sit with one group of us and one with the other, and they translated through the whole service for us. And we found out about that their parents were there. They were actually here visiting. Both of the girls had gone to school in the area, to college, and they were back to visit because I think one of them had a friend in the area that they were visiting. But they knew the Tunkanos, and it was just really cool. We had a great conversation with them. They knew English very well. But one of the things we learned through talking with them was that, they don't have Ellen White books in their local language much. They have them basically in English, so the people who don't know English really struggle with being able to read that, and that was something. I know that their father there, he was just sharing with us some of the things he had studied, and the people don't know. They don't know about country living. They think their pastors even tell them that there's no point. It's not now. It's not
yeah,
now.
they were asked. They read Ellen White, and she talks about country living, and so they asked the pastor, which is what you should do, right? And he said, "Oh no, that's for another time." That's what he told them.
So there is, even amongst the Adventists, there is a work there, I think, that needs to be done with the people there. Yeah. But they were very sweet, and we enjoyed. The kids made friends. We've connected with them. We still text. I think the girls text sometimes.
And so yeah, they were excited to learn that there was actually an Adventist that was doing country living, not maybe in their country, but so we talked about it, and they were like really excited about that. Wow, that's real. You can do that.
So this is just a little video of what traffic might be like there. Was like there for us. You come to a stoplight, and when you stop, and even though you're in a car, all of the motorcycles come rushing they come to the front, and they crowd up around the stoplight. So as soon as the go comes, all motorcycles just take off, and the cars kind of pull in behind them. So it was just, okay.
All right, we're running out of time.
Oh, no.
Oh, back.
So when we were getting ready to leave here, we had
another story.
Yeah. So like I said, we had sort of figured out how to use Grab and how to do all of the stuff to get around. So I had checked into it. We found that there was a train that we could actually take to the airport. And so we purchased the tickets online for that, and we got it all figured out. We're supposed to have our breakfast and take everything and get a Grab and get to the train station. We had it all figured out. Well, the one problem we didn't figure into this is that you can actually only order one taxi on Grab, not two.
And we only half of us fit into one.
Only 3 of us can go with our luggage in one at a time. So we went out, and I figured, well, I'll send Roger, and we didn't have a second cell phone at this point that was working in the country. So I'm like, I'll send Roger and 2 of the kids, and I'll stay here, and we'll figure out how to get another taxi. So we actually kept both of our cell phones, because we had one that would work if we were around Wi-Fi or whatever, but we were trying to get Grab loaded on that. It's an old cell phone. So I thought if we get it loaded on here, then we can at least
Order another one.
Well, we couldn't ever get it to work because it's an old cell phone, and we couldn't figure out how to get another taxi, because I didn't cancel that one like I had kind of suggested. So we're sitting here like, what do? We went to a little store around the corner. I tried to communicate with the gal, like, do you have Grab? Can you order me a Grab? She's like, no, I don't have Grab. I finally figured out what she was saying. She's like, I can't do that. So we're just like, I don't even know what to do. So we're sitting here watching, like, here they are. They're going. They're not there yet. And like, the train's coming. So, but finally, we were just like, okay, we're going to miss the train. I don't know what else to do. We're just going to have to wait until they get there, and then we'll order another Grab. Well, on the other end, he gets there.
So I get there, and we get there just a couple minutes before the train leaves. It's like, I'm not getting on that train because she's not with us. So we thought, oh, well, no problem. We had plan B. We could catch the next train. Because we had plenty of time, because when we were originally thinking about it, would we catch the earlier train or the later train? Well, if we catch the earlier one, we can always catch the later one if something goes wrong. Well, we shouldn't have thought that way because something did go wrong. So no problem. I go up and I figure, well, while I'm waiting for her, I'll go figure out all the details and we can get some tickets. And so I figure out where you can buy tickets. And the trains are all full. They're full until sometime in the middle of the afternoon. And our plane leaves in about an hour and a half. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, we are not getting to the airport on a train. And we took the train. We chose the train route because when we came from the airport, it was a 2-hour taxi ride. And we thought, well, the train's a half an hour. We're half an hour away, so that cuts it in half. So I'm like, okay, we're not taking the train. What is the other option? Well, talk to the taxi driver and trying to figure out if he can take us. And about this time, she shows up, and she's like, not realizing that we cannot get there on the train. She says, okay, well, and I tell her, don't let the taxi driver go. We have to go on a taxi. Because otherwise we will miss not only the flight from Jakarta to Jakarta, but we'll also miss the flight from Jakarta back to Bangkok. So we'd miss both of those flights.
So I knew that if I let this guy go, and I couldn't order 2 taxis with Grab at this point. I knew that. So I'm like, okay. So I was trying to communicate with him, and we were doing it very slowly because I was using Google Translate. I was like, we need you to take us to the airport. Well, how far? Well, I think the airport's too far. I can't get you there on time. He was like, when's your flight? I'm like, it was, I think, 2 hours away or something? I can't remember exactly the time. And he was like, I can't get you there. And I'm like, well, look what Google Maps says. It says that you can get us there if you, go right now. I was trying to show this to him. And I'm like, can you just, let us book you for the price that you pay on Grab, and then let me use Grab to book another taxi? I'm like, when I book Grab, please don't respond, because I don't want you to be the driver. I need to get another taxi. So finally, it was slow going, like I said, communicating this with him. But he agreed to it. So I booked another Grab, and he responded. And I was like, no, you're not supposed to. So we canceled that, and we tried it again. This time he didn't respond. He's like, okay. And then the other taxi came right away, and he got loaded up, and we take off.
Well, you didn't tell him about getting the money.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that. So before we take off, I realized I don't have the cash for another taxi. We were planning to be on the train.
Yeah, we're going to be on a train, leaving the country. We got rid of our cash.
So let me run to the ATM really quick. So I ran over to the train station. I'm like, where's the ATM? And they're like, it's in there. I'm like, they won't let me in there because I don't have a ticket anymore. So finally somebody let me go through, and they're like, it's across the tracks.
Two tracks.
And then there's a train on the tracks. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to get over there? So this guy was like, come through the train. And these people are walking and loading into the train, so I had to wait for them. And then I went through the train, running. I'm like running out there. Get the cash out of the machine, tried to come running back through the train, across the tracks, and was running out there, and finally got out there with the money. Our poor taxi driver, the one I had, he was so stressed by this point because he was sure he was not going to get us there. He got in and started driving like crazy. But I didn't realize he was trying to tell me he needed gas. So we actually had to stop along the way and get some gas.
So meanwhile, the taxi we're in, he's like just taking his good old time. Oh, there's a stoplight up there. Okay, I can start slowing down. Oh, take off. If I put my foot on the gas too hard, then I'll use extra gas. So we'll just accelerate gently. So I'm just a wee bit stressed. Just a little bit. I don't know why. But I'm trying to figure out, okay, so if we miss the plane and we miss the next one, then we got to try to find a place to stay, and we got to find another flight. I mean, just a big mess. So I'm all stressed out about that. And about halfway, it's about an hour drive, I think, was about the hour and 15 minutes. So about halfway through, I did this for about half the trip. And then God finally got a hold of my attention, and the thought came to me that if God was not done with us in Indonesia, I didn't want to leave Indonesia, right? Because if there's something we still need to do, I want to do it. That's what I'm here for. And so my mindset changed from being totally stressed, like, we're going to miss the plane, we're going to miss the plane, we're going to miss that, we're going to miss that, to all of a sudden being like, well, if God is done with us, we can catch the plane. If he's not done with us, I don't want to get on the plane, right? And so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, now I'm not stressed anymore. I hope we miss the plane, because I wonder what God has in mind. So, we did get there. We got there about 10 10 minutes before they were closing the ticketing again.
Well, they had delayed the plane, I think, by 15
minutes.
minutes.
But
so
then she's not there. I
very
figured the way this guy's driving, she's probably already sitting on the plane waiting for us. But she's not anywhere to be seen.
No, because we had stopped to get gas. Now, the poor guy, though, he was so stressed, like I said. He was not driving like his driver. He was just like, and trying to pass people on the sides, flying by these people, and buzz back in and slam on the brakes at the lights. I mean, he was just
Step
going
on the gas.
crazy. And I was just sitting there praying for him. I'm like, God, please help this poor driver to calm down. It's going to be okay. Like, if we miss the plane, because I was like, I don't want to be stressed about this. The last one I was stressed about, and it was just not fun.
I'm done with stress.
So,
well, we're not done with stress.
I'm just going to pray for the poor driver the whole way. So thankfully we got there, though, and he jumps out of the car, and there's people there with carts that wanted us to, pay for them. He goes over to them, grabs their carts and drags it over here, and loads our luggage on, and he's like, go, go, go. I mean, he was just so, he was just so helpful. I was very appreciative. I gave him his money, and we thanked him a lot, and we were able to catch that plane because the Lord actually held the plane for us, I feel like. So.
Yeah. So anyway, but God was just preparing us for the next few trips.
Yeah.
And we are running out of time here, so we are going to have to accelerate through some of these pictures.
We headed back to Thailand, and we had to we stopped at the Kairos because we had luggage that we had left there. This was the mess we had. We had to go through the stuff we'd taken with us and the stuff we left there and trying to sort it all out, and we just covered their room. They were very patient with us, I have to tell you.
So thank you, Mike and Marilee. We really appreciate your helping us out.
And then from there, we headed to the hills in the Kansawan, and we were able to visit with them. It was a very nice visit. This is just a view of the city from up a hill. We were able to go for a hike, and we did some prayer walking there with them. And the kids also got a chance to learn how to cut up jackfruit, even though they don't appreciate eating it very much. They were learning how to cut it up. From there, we're going to head to Konkins. We said our goodbyes. Thankfully, the Lord really blessed here, and Hannah was able to get us a van that we could just rent the whole van and go
and relax
to Konkins. So it was very nice. The Españas was a friends of ours from a while back. We actually met them at a family camp meeting, several years ago. And our kids just connected. They just became good friends. And they lived in Oregon at that time. So we didn't get to see them very much, but they would communicate with letters and phone calls and stuff every now and then. But then my kids kept saying, you got to come to Faith Camp. You got to come to Faith Camp. They kept encouraging them, come to Faith Camp, come to Faith Camp. So they finally did. They came to Faith Camp.
They talked their parents into coming.
They talked their parents into coming, yes. And
tell their story. We're Zooming with them.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
cool.
So
that's-
we'll let you.
They,
We'll not steal too much of their story.
so they actually beat us there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
yeah.
funny. But so this is just we got to go and spend about 3 weeks at their house. The kids have a great time together. When we were there, we got to see some interesting sights. This is one of the things that you often see in Thailand. They have their trucks loaded to the top and beyond. While we were there, we had a team. Jason Rainey mentioned this, a team of 18 people that we went around. Actually, he went around a lot more than that, but we joined them. Our group there in Khon Kaen got to join this team for, I think it was just a part of a week. And we traveled a little bit around Eastern Thailand. We were helping with handing out books. We got to visit different churches and schools. This is our families all squeezed together in their big van that the Lord has blessed them with. And this is us worn out.
Notice the kids are not asleep, just the old people.
and the littlest. One of the places we stayed was in a church. Actually, I slept on the floor in the church. We were not prepared for this, but it was cold there, and we only had like little sheets, and most of us froze that night. But that was just a special time for us. So we had worship in the morning together, got to sing with the accordion, and the kids actually got to meet an elephant there. One was just happened to be walking by the street. I don't know what they were doing, but they brought it over, and all the kids came out and got to touch the elephant even, I think. And
Feed the elephant.
what?
You got to pet him.
The tusk? Oh, cool. Okay.
I'm not sure.
So one of the little guys of our group here, he likes to help his father work on trucks. So he decided one day that he was going to tell me about all the parts in the truck. It was just really cute. We just couldn't resist. He was sitting there, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and this, and I was just like, oh, okay. Then we had to say our goodbyes. We were heading to Cambodia because of the visas there. We had a limit of 30 days. We were on the free visas. So we ended up going to Cambodia at the end of our 30-day time there in Thailand for a brief visit.
For about a week. So we visited Kenton Rogers there in Cambodia, and he has his ministry is a printing press, which he's been working on getting more presses and being able to hopefully do more printing for people. So we spent
getting his equipment working.
getting his
a lot of
equipment
the time
working.
it's broken down.
So he and I went shopping for some food, and I just couldn't resist the pictures of the fruits and vegetables and their variety. And then our luxurious accommodations, we had fans, so we were in good shape, and mosquito nets. And then one of the advantages of living in the mission field is you can have interesting pets. And their son there has a pet crocodile. So he's getting bigger, and I'm not sure what he's going to do when he gets bigger, because if he turns him loose, the locals will eat him. And then there's some traffic in Phnom Penh and Siem Reap area.
Yeah, we drove from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap, and this is in Siem Reap where Tim Maddox is and his children's, the orphanage there. He had an empty house. He let us, this is our bunk house there. We didn't choose to actually be on the bunks. We were on the floor with our mosquito net. So there he has a school here, and this is his school. And
he also has a butterfly paradise. There's a church here and that he fills with kids.
And the church here, the unique thing about the church is it's one of the churches that everybody sits on the floor, because that's actually what people in Cambodia, that's how they're used to sitting.
It's also much more space efficient. You can
Yeah.
get more people on the floor than if they're all stuck in chairs and further apart.
This is a kakai?
Yeah.
One of our favorite creatures. When we first came back, we really missed the calling. Kakai, kakai.
Well, actually, it actually sounds almost more like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
uh-oh, uh-oh.
Okay, you gotta hurry through. Okay,
All right.
Rylan.
Rylan. Yeah, people are going to get hungry here.
Yeah. 15 minutes.
No, you got it upside down. It's 51.
Okay, go ahead, bud.
My favorite part of our trip is when we went to the mountains of Thailand. We went to visit a missionary family. They live way up in the mountains. And this is some of the houses that the people live in. and this is their driveway.
Yeah, there's no audio, but that's okay.
We were thankful it wasn't rainy season.
Yeah. We thought this was extreme, but this is nothing compared to what Gail does.
The roads in the mountains are steep and narrow and very bumpy. Some of these roads have paved parts. Up in the mountains, it was 60 degrees at night. It was very cold because, I was very cold because I did not have enough blankets. On Sabbath, we took a trip to the border, and on the way back, we were in a cool-looking truck, and the driver decided to take a shortcut, and he got a flat tire from a rock, and we were way out in the middle of nowhere. And by the time the tire went completely flat, it was about 8 o'clock at night, and it was already dark. And so we we stopped and put a blanket on the ground and just sat there. And
Looking at the stars.
the nearest village was about 45 minutes to an hour walk away. And so the driver decided to start walking to the village. And on the way, he met a truck coming up our direction where we were. And they said, "Oh, we have a friend who will bring a pump. They can pump up your tire for you." And so the truck came up, brought the driver back up, and we sat there for quite a while waiting for the people to come. And finally, they came on a motorbike, and it was just a little bike pump. And it was a big, massive tire, so we all took turns pumping it. And then, as soon as we got it pumped up, the driver stuffed some stuff in the hole to keep it from leaking out too fast. And then we all jumped in and drove off as fast as possible to try to get back. And we barely made it.
The nice thing about that was that during that time we were visiting there, some of the people from the local village was there, and the missionaries there, they know the local language, so they were able to talk with them and share with them. And I don't even know what they said, but God gave them that opportunity just to visit with them, even though we were all stuck out there.
So we wanted to go to India, and so we weren't sure that we were going to be able to make it, so it took a lot of prayer and stuff. But we finally decided we were going to go. So the morning that we were supposed to go, we went to the airport, and we made it early, which is like the first time ever. And Mommy was brilliant, and she checked in online so that it wouldn't take as long. So all we had to do was like check our luggage and stuff. So I went to go do that, and the lady was checking our e-visas, and she said that Daddy's e-visa did not match his passport, and so he couldn't get on the plane. And so we didn't know what to do, because we felt like we were supposed to go to India, but we didn't know. So we took a long time, and we were like trying to figure it out. And Daddy emailed the e-visa people, and if they ever responded, And then we were just sitting there, and then close to when our flight was supposed to leave, Mama decided that since she had checked in online, maybe we could get to the gate or something. And so they let us check all of our luggage with the rest of us, and we didn't give them Daddy's passport or anything. And then went down to the gate, and when they got there, then they wouldn't let him on the plane.
It was the same people.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Anyways,
this isn't gonna work.
And we were really, really sad because we wanted to go.
And we were crying.
Anyways, but the cool part is that we got to walk backwards through the airport into all different strange places, and places where we never go. And so we went to a different place, where they would collect our passports or something and stamp them or something.
Unstamp.
They were stamped.
Yeah, but we'd already, according to our passport, we had already left the country, which we didn't.
Anyways,
So they had to undo that.
so we finally got our luggage, and we didn't know what to do. So we were all really tired because we had spent half the night on an overnight bus. And so most of us just lay down and slept in the airport. Mommy and Daddy could figure out how to get out of the mess that they were in now. So
We're just stuck in a foreign country. We're not in any kind of mess.
when we first had realized there was a problem, we had texted the missionaries. And so they all were praying for us. And then one of them suggested that we go to the Indian embassy. So we looked it up, and we thought they were going to close at 5. And so we decided, right before, barely enough time, that we should probably go there. And so we got a taxi, and we tried to get into downtown Bangkok, and the traffic was really bad.
We had plenty of time, except for all the other cars on the road.
And so eventually got to the spot where it was close, and so we just had the driver drop us off. But he didn't drop us off exactly where we said, so we had to walk an extra several kilometers or something. And we were dragging our suitcases. Anyway, so we eventually got to the spot where the embassy was supposed to be, and Daddy couldn't find it, and so he asked someone, and he's like, "Where's the embassy?" And they're like, "Oh, it's that building over there." And so
Google had the wrong address.
So we had to go over there. And when we got there, it was supposedly supposed to close in 5 minutes, and then we realized it was on the 8th floor, so we had to go all the way up. And when we got there, we realized it didn't actually close till 5:30, so he had a half an hour. But he went in there, and we were all waiting in the hallway, and we were really worried because, we don't know what's going to happen, and we really wanted to go to India. And he came out after a little while, and he pretty much said there's nothing they could do. And so
It only took 3 or 4 people to tell me that.
So we were tired, and we hadn't eaten anything other than a few nuts that entire day. And so we were going to find a hotel and then go to a store and buy some food. So we were looking for a hotel, and we're about to book one, and Mama got an impression that Dad should check his email again. And when he did, he had his e-visa that was corrected. So
this is about 5:30 at night, and the plane leaves at 9.
Anyway, so by the time we finally made it downstairs, it was 6 o'clock, and we're trying to find a flight. And so we decided that we were going to try for the one that left at 9, but the airport was an hour away, and the taxi wasn't supposed to get there for 15 minutes. So we decided to cancel it, and we're still trying to figure out what to do. And then several minutes later, Mommy and Daddy decided that if we actually wanted to go, we probably should be where the plane was, because the plane wasn't just going to land anywhere for us. So we booked a taxi again, and we finally got in it. And then we were on our way, and we were, kind of nervous and stuff, because we're all hanging over the seats and everything, watching the track on Google. Anyway, so we finally got there 7:30, and we hadn't bought tickets because Mama didn't want to waste more money. So she rushed into the airport, and she accidentally cut the line. And then she got us tickets, and check-in was supposed to close at 8. And so it was right at 8 we started checking in. And then it was 8:15 before we were done, and the flight left at 9. So we managed to do all that. And then we went through security, and we ran into some people we knew. And we got on the plane, and the really nice thing is that we were in row 2 and 3, and the front of the plane didn't have any people. So several of us just picked a row and laid down and slept for most of the flight. So it was kind of nice. And when we got there, we were only 5 hours later than our original flight would have been, because the original flight had a huge layover, so it wasn't that bad.
It ended up being a blessing.
Anyway, so we had a church, and Daddy had to preach for the sermon. And then each of us took a meeting in the evening. Raziel's giving a health talk here. This is me preaching. This is Rashana preaching. This is our church. So is this. This was one of the cute little babies that I like to hold. And this lady and her son, well, she had 2 boys, but they were there like every night. And then there was one night that they were bored and I was bored. And so I was showing them pictures on our camera of our trip. And I was showing him like pictures of airplanes and wild animals. And he would tell me what it was called in Tamil. And then I would tell him what it was in English. And they would try to say it. And it sounded really funny. And here's another cute little girl, a little boy, and another little girl. This little girl is really sweet. And there's some boys, a girl. The next video that I'm going to play is a part of the song that they sang a lot. Nope. And yeah, I think I'll always have it stuck in my head. No, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work?
Okay, we'll just skip it.
Yeah, where's the audio?
Yeah, just sing it.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Oh, well. So this is our church after the last meeting. So during the day, we went to medical clinics. Some of us went on different days. And this was our church. This was another church. And here's another church where Shauna was like doing blood pressure stuff. This is just some of the things that you see in India. This was on the way to our church. This was actually the road that went to our church. We would get dropped off at the far end and then walk. And then this was just a normal street in the village.
So I just want to ask you a question. Raya, that's you.
Yeah?
So preaching's really hard in India, isn't it?
No.
No, it isn't. What about telling the children's story? Or the health talk, isn't that hard?
No, they preach for you.
Okay, so anybody can go do it.
Yeah. Just read the script. They'll change it however they want.
And also the medical clinic's really hard, right? Yeah. If they can do it, then it's not difficult. It's intimidating, but it's not difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
And they did a great job, by the way.
From there, our trip was winding down. We came back and we got to do a short visit with the Stecks and see the Love for Asia office. Then we got to go back to the Kyers like they were talking about and visit the people they were talking about there. They went out for visitation. It was a really special time for us to go do that with them. Riding in the back of the truck, again, one of the favorite things that young people like to do, I guess. And then we had to pack up and leave. It was sad. It was sad for us because we were just really used to being there, and we had so much luggage. We had to take 2 vehicles. So here we are, all packed at the airport, ready to go, saying goodbye to Thailand.
So
we're gonna. This is the end. I
end
promise
here.
you. I know you guys are like.
And you can leave if you don't, if you need to. I won't feel bad. Fewer people to stare back at me. What's next? So right now, we are planning to try to return to Southeast Asia, either Indonesia or Thailand, sometime in September or October. We've got a few things we need to finish up around the house, and I'm working on getting permission from my job to go there. My boss is okay with it seems like, at the moment, but there's still the legal department and the HR department and the IT department and all those people that need to approve it. And because I'm now going to try to do it longer than their policy, we'll see what God has in mind. So we're just planning on going back to see where God leads. And I would encourage anyone here that if you feel called to the mission field, to just go. Don't wait until you can figure out how stuff works. Try to give yourself a little bit more time to catch flights. It's less stressful that way. Mm-hmm. But, it's cool to see God working, right? So it just would rather not be my fault that God's got to work and maybe something outside my control. Mm-hmm. But I would just really encourage parents to not wait until your children are too old. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because that's COVID. I think we might have gone sooner, but COVID kind of got in the way of stuff. And we just have lots of excuses, but we are really, I think all my kids are glad we went. Roxanne and I are glad that we took them, and we're planning on going back. They each have their own favorite country that they'd like to go back to. And they may go back there once they get old enough to go on their own.
Okay, I just want to end with a verse. Be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them, Joshua 1:6. And just encourage you that God has a plan for you of who he wants you to be a missionary to. It might be somebody locally, I don't know. It might be somebody far away. But don't become afraid when Satan attacks and tries to make you not do what God is asking you to do. Be strong and have good courage, because he will fulfill his will for your life.
And the cool thing is, when the devil attacks, you know you're on the right path.
Okay, do we pray? Okay. All right, why don't we go ahead and say prayer, and then we can all head to supper.
Dear Heavenly Father, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity of being involved in your work in missions, both locally and around the world. We see the great need that's over there in other parts of the world, which other missionaries have pointed out, and there is a huge need there. And we thank you for you allowing us with our imperfections to be part of your work. And thank you for stepping in and helping us out when we don't plan well enough so that we end up with big problems, but no problem's too big for you. I would ask that you would impress upon each person here the mission, local or foreign, that you have picked out for each person. And I would also ask that you would bless us as we prepare to return this fall. In Jesus' name, amen.